that's definitely way too high. Hello, 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 all you dedicated viewers out there. The show is about to start. I hope you got your popcorn, your drinks, whatever else you fancy. This is Chatter Up, episode 3, hosted by yours truly, Wallace Gromit. We got a good show for you guys. Jam-packed with some interviews. Another panel, 4-person panel. So we've been pretty good keeping it populated there. But thank you for viewing. If you're taking your time to listen. Of course, if you aren't, or you're watching this on a VOD, you've probably already realized it's going to be a VOD. So we'll transform that out. Usually a day or two later, we'll get that going. But while we're doing it live, we'll have some fun here. So got a nice jam-packed episode for you today. We'll start off with our usual one-on-one interview. This week we have Orioles second baseman, shortstop, right fielder, Nipsey Slip. He'll be coming on here in probably 10 or 15 minutes whenever I can finish up this intro here. We appreciate him spending some time with us. We'll talk session review, season review, ask him some personal questions, some MLR questions. So we'll get the whole slate for him there. Should be a good time. After that, we'll do session 11/session 9 preview. We'll go over my picks. I finalized the session 9 picks. We'll check in on session 10. We'll see how I'm doing there. Session 10, spoiler, is going a lot better for me than session 9 is, so we'll have a good laugh. Typically, we would move to our viewer call-in section, but alas, we had no call-ins this week. So we're going to skip that segment entirely, but the good news is we have a really good panel lined up, so hopefully that'll take over some of that time, some of that wavelength for us. The panel has a trio of rookies and a trio of umps with some overlap there. But we're going to have Blue Jays left fielder, first baseman Doc Crudelly. I always find it interesting saying names for the first time on stream because I always say them in my head and they sound differently out loud. But rookie for the Blue Jays will be joining us. We appreciate his time too. I think the missus is celebrating the 30th birthday yesterday, so he'll be able to clarify for us. But happy belated birthday, Mrs. Doc Crudelly. We'll also be joined by the Reds right fielder, left fielder, and catcher Shirley Sir. Very enigmatic fellow. I like Shirley a lot, so appreciate their time as well. We'll also have Brewers rookie center fielder, right fielder Guido Ligiorno. And I know I butchered that one because I can't say it right, so I'll have him correct me later in the stream. And then lastly, we'll have Houston 45's rookie second baseman, first baseman, Streetlamp LeMoose. LeMoose will surely have his street lamp in tow, and he'll be joining us too to round out our panel discussion. So thank you beforehand to the interviews. Tyburn, we can't say that name here. That's a different character. I'm sure Shirley will let you know. And then I'll take a quick second to thank our sponsors this week. The Chatter Up podcast is brought to you by Nipsey Slip's Patsies, to stop your Nipsies from a Slipsies. We also have vinaigrette dressing, the salad for athletes. And we also have Himi Nama's name tags. That's not a mistake either. So thank you to the sponsors. This show couldn't run without you guys. I really appreciate that. If you guys want to sponsor Chatter Up, please just hit up the server. We have a suggestion box there. You can DM Wally Gorham directly. I have a few more on the waiting list, but we like all the sponsors. So give me your money, support the show, make me rich. That sweet sponsorship money, send it through. For those who don't know, your host today is myself, Wallace Gromit. I play second base, first base for the New York Mets, the Metropolitans. So go Mets. I am a few weeks into a media manager role, just trying to get some media flowing through the MLR. Basically just trying to enrich the experience. We're all out here guessing numbers. A lot of it is textual. So I'm hoping some podcasts and some streams that we're doing brings a little bit of life to that. So hopefully we're accomplishing that for you. If you'd like to ever be on the show, I dropped the links a couple days after the show for people who are interested in signing up for that. So we want all viewers. If you signed up before and you haven't been on the show, it's not on purpose. We're just trying to get 4 or 5 people who have the same 2 or 3 hours free every single night to all organize together, which is always a challenge. So if you've signed up before and you haven't been on, that's totally okay. Keep signing up. We'll definitely get you on. We're all about getting everyone involved and talking some MLR and some fake baseball. So on a side note, before we hop into the interview with Nipsey Slip, I want to do just a personal shout out to Rusty Nails, who retired a little bit earlier today, I believe. Rusty was the general manager for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I know he plays in the other league that we don't talk about too much here. But Rusty was the very first interview on Chatter Up on the podcast. He did work with the MLR media team as a staff member, one of the founding staff members. So Rusty, I totally understand the need to step away. I semi-famously have done so myself. Balance is a huge bit, so hope you stick around a little bit, maybe check in on the scores every once in a while, but love you, man, and hope you're doing well. The MLR media team will certainly miss you, so drop me a DM from time to time, man. Okay, I think I've got through all the usual stuff. I think we're going to go ahead and move on to our interview. Let me see if Nipsey is around. I'm going to throw you on a standby here with the Rockin' Kirby music, and I'll be right back, guys. All right, right. Sorry for the delay, but we're back here in studio with our friend Nipsey Slip from the Baltimore Orioles. Nipsey, can you hear me? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm surviving. Glad I got my technical difficulties handled here, delaying us a little bit. But appreciate you being on the show, man. How does it feel?
Feels good. I appreciate you having me and giving me a chance to talk about the Orioles, even though we're not doing too hot right now.
Hey, that's okay. I mean, you're getting shout outs from your Jamaica days. You're getting shout outs from your Virginia Tech days. I mean, it seems like you're a legend of a few establishments. How does that feel?
Feels good. I mean, I tried to sign up for pretty much every league that we've had. I absolutely sucked in the World Baseball Classic, and yeah, I mean, I try to forget those Jamaica days.
Yeah, it's
But
okay.
yeah,
I didn't do well in the World Baseball Classic either. So if we don't want to talk about that, I'll help
I
you
mean,
move along.
I I feel like my best performance was when I attacked the San Marino dugout.
Yeah,
Was really
that's
getting
always a win because aren't they the ones that had that dumb Italian hand emote? Yes, dude, I
still
hated
gives me
that.
PTSD.
I hated that more than anything. If there's any San Marino, yeah, look, I know Zelk's out there. I hated that emote more than anything. So screw that emote a little bit. All right. We're going to thank you for sponsoring the show, by the way. I'm pretty sure the Nipsey Slip Patsies are on you. So I appreciate that as
Yeah,
well.
I figured I had to get my one-on-one time and kick some money that way.
There you go.
I've handed out a couple of like month-long athletics subscriptions, just to secure like a batting lineup spot.
Yeah, I hear that.
I mean, I'm not above bribery. I offered an ump $20 today to give me a 500 difference.
Look,
Didn't work.
sometimes that's what it takes. And for anyone that's listening, you can absolutely bribe me to be a sponsor on the show. So that's out there for everyone to know. All right, man. Well, let's get into a few more scripted questions here. I'm going to just start out with the current session, which I fail to have the score in front of me. How is session 11 going for the Orioles right now?
We're up. I feel like the common theme for this year is our pitching has been struggling a little bit, but we
Okay.
got through the inning. I think there was 2 or 3 walks and a single. I think we're up 5-4 or 6-5 or something like that. Um,
Who started pitching for you guys this session?
Seagull started. We brought in our new acquisition, Randy Pohl,
Okay.
and Pohl's a 3 true outcome and a lot of walks. Uh, we just got Pohl in to kind of like anchor down the rotation a little bit, and hopefully we can pull out this win. We're playing Kansas City right now, so that's going to be a huge win if we can pull it off. They're the number one team in the Central right now, so
They've been hot too, man. So that'll be
yeah.
good for you guys. And I'll go a little off script here. I know Pohl came in. I think it was for a first round pick, if memory serves.
Yep.
How has he adjusted to the clubhouse?
He's been around. He's talked. I'm also teammates with him in the other league that we don't talk about too
Okay,
much.
okay.
I was hoping that we would get him. He's a good guy.
Right.
We we're hoping, or that's been the weak point. Deku's been anchoring down the lineup, probably an MVP candidate.
God, he's so
Juni's
good.
come around hitting in the 9 hole. It's really just we give up a lot of runs. has been the main issue lately. So
Right.
we're I'm optimistic we'll get the season turned around, be a playoff team again, and maybe make a run.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. The AL East, obviously a little bit crowded. You don't have to. You tell me that. I think the Red Sox lost earlier today. The Yankees are winning. You guys are winning, but
I know the Blue Jays lost.
and the Blue Jays lost, so they're at even 5-5. So I mean, everyone's within a game or two right now, and I mean, this is 10, 11 sessions in, so we're coming down to the
Mhm.
end here. I mean, how have you felt about the division from then till now?
I knew coming in it was going to be a meat grinder, and it's lived up to that. With the Yankees, I think the Rays are a very underrated team with what Mason had going on there. They just added a new pitcher too. Um, and I knew when I signed here it was going to be tough, and that's kind of what I was looking for. And I was kind of looking for, I wanted the challenge, and I wanted to be able to learn. And I figured like with Larry and Junie and all them that it would give me the best chance to.
Right.
And it's everything's lived up to expectations. we know it's going to be tough, but we want, and we want to go out and get the dub every week, and especially when we play the Yankees.
Yeah, I definitely hear that, which is totally okay. The other New York team feels the same way. So,
yeah.
But Larry and Junie, definitely some good peeps to learn from.
Yeah.
Rather, I mean, Larry's pretty legendary in my eyes, and Junie is the data master. So,
yeah, I wish I could explain like the type of scouting that goes on, and it's just like it can work against us sometimes, but it works for us a lot. And like I got in, and I was like, the first thing I asked for was my pitching sheet from the World Baseball Classic, and he immediately sent it to me, and I was kind of like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Sorry, are you freaking kidding me? And like, just looking at it, I was like, "That's how readable I was."
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, we'll go beyond your Oreo years. Tell us how you came into the MLR, how you found it, what your journey's been, and how you've ended up in Baltimore.
So, it was prior to season 4. The sticky day on Reddit baseball. To tell you the truth, I was probably in the bathroom at work at the time when I saw it, and ducking my responsibilities. And so I signed up. I played with Preller during like a preseason scrim,
Okay.
and then I got assigned to Virginia Tech. Made a lot of friends there pretty quickly. We have a lot of bigger names, I feel like, in MLR still. We got Sablo, Zelk was there, Cameron West, a couple other guys. And after that, I did not know that I should go into Maine and like make my presence known.
Right.
I didn't venture outside the Virginia Tech like chat room. I felt like I was pretty active in there, and I figured that would get me drafted. And so like draft day comes along, and I realize that I'm not getting drafted. And I was like, oh shit. Third round comes and goes, and I'm like talking to teams like in the main thing, like, just draft me, like I promise I'll be active. Me? And they're like, we don't believe you. Larry was the only GM to reach out to me, and then he took like 3 second basemen ahead of me, and I was just like,
brutal.
and then after that, I ended up going to Texas in the 4th. And if anybody knows anything about Texas,
they're super active. Most active team in the MLR.
So from I get my start in Texas as a DH, hitting like 6th or 7th. My first at bat, I hit a home run. I also feel like I should note that I was an extra base focus. Nobody wants focus. So that was like my only hit through like 3 or 4 sessions. I'm asking questions that I'm not getting answers to unless it's like 4 or 5 days after. I'm like the only one keeping track of pitches in the game, like trying to find a trend. And I joined MLQ, which was Major League Quickball, which it was supposed to be like 4-hour timers or something like that with a robo ump and all that. And Matt, hi, my name is, was my GM there, and I was talking like, I was like, man, this kind of sucks. I like scout, like I'm not getting these things. Like I was still talking in the Virginia Tech clubhouse because I had nowhere else to talk to. And he told me he's like, ask for a trade. It's worth asking. And I was like, really? And so like I ended up going through with it. I messaged Rabbi, who was the GM at the time, and I requested a trade to, just literally anywhere else. Yeah, and he sent me to Arizona, which was kind of out of the blue. Reimer shoots me a message. He's like, hey, we just traded for you. I was like, who is Arizona? Like, who's on here? So I get into the clubhouse, and like immediately everybody's like, oh, hey. And like it was just the greatest feeling in the world going from like that's a dead clubhouse, which I mean, that's their prerogative. That's not something I was looking for. And it just felt so good. Like, there was Duke, Vic, Reimer, Rusty, which his retirement really hurt today.
Amen.
They all come in, and they welcome me there, and still being extra base focused, I was still super frustrated throughout the season. I think I made it to session 15 with them. Got into a little bit of an argument with a teammate, left the clubhouse, told Rusty I wasn't coming back. Rusty was GM at the time. So Rusty DFA'd me, which I was kind of expecting. Like, I just didn't want to be there anymore. I didn't like the person I got into an argument with. They're no longer in the league, so who really won that one? And I ended up in San Diego for 2 or 3 sessions, and then winter woes. And again, I finished the season with like 3 hits. It sucked. It was a miserable season. That's why I was like joining every other like one-off that I could with the World Baseball Classic and stuff. You know, I was lucky that Sablo took a flyer on me, and that's one of the last pitchers to go. And then from there, I decided, like, I knew I was going to hit free agency. I just wanted like to feel like good. I wanted to see how many offers I could get. Like, I wanted to see, oh hey, you know, who wants me? I got 10 offers. 1 offer was pulled the day of free agency.
Damn.
And they ended up signing nobody. So I was like, oh well. And I ended up with Baltimore just because it was. I still have a lot to learn. I feel like with like breaking down scouting and stuff. You know, I passed up a lot of pretty good offers from pretty good teams that I felt like, you know, I could have been a captain this season, and I basically needed to have rookie season 1 like all over again. Like, I needed to go in and like learn the
fresh start kind of thing.
Yeah, like I needed a fresh start. I picked basic contact, switched to lefty. I've got pretty good ranges. I already have double the amount of hits this season.
Hell yeah.
I have 2 more RBIs than I did last season.
Hell yeah.
I'm hitting above the Mendoza line.
There you go.
And there's still like other things that, you know, this week or this session I've tried to step up more in the clubhouse and kind of like, you know, hey, what's everyone thinking here? And like actually, you know, before where I held back a little bit, and now it's kind of like, you know, trying to transition now that I understand things a little bit better, and now I'm taking like the next step to be more of like a leader. And, you know, I've been pinging at everyone in our clubhouse every time we come up to bat. So.
There you go, collaborating the hits. I mean, we do it in our clubhouse, not to give too many secrets away or how things are run, but I mean, it's quite the journey, man. Sounds like you've had some ups and some downs, but it sounds like you're really looking for that self-improvement and finding your spot in a team, which is really what it comes down to. I mean, once you find a good home, and it sounds like you have in Baltimore. I mean, how has that dynamic been? I mean, it's been 10 or 11 sessions. How are you getting along with the teammates? I mean, how do you feel like that team runs compared to the other teams you've been on?
I would say it runs very fluid. Larry is very... I can tell you this, we're not going to auto ever.
Right.
Larry is a vice grip down, and, you know, the dynamic's good. I'm finally, you know, the first 5 or 6 sessions, I was kind of afraid to be me.
Right.
But then I you know, I've opened up a little bit more and like realized that they signed me to be me. Like, I'm out in Maine talking shit to everybody.
Right.
Like, I don't feel bad about it anymore. Now it's just like, all right, I'm just gonna, you know, this is what you guys asked for. And like I've told Larry before, I'm like, I'm just waiting for the day you get sick of me. He's like, no, I love it. And he's like, we knew what we got into. And you know, I feel, you know, each team does have its own dynamic, you know, with their close. And I never in Arizona, it was kind of easy to fall into that clique with, you know, some of the more active guys that, you know, I'm still friends with. You know, I still go into their clubhouse probably once or twice a day and call them all nerds, and then just like
bounce
away. And San Diego, I wasn't really there long enough to like build any kind of like friendship outside of Cameron West from our VT days.
Right.
And then Texas, it was like I've got nothing with them.
Right.
So it I mean, I feel definitely more part of the team lately, and that's just kind of, I felt like a little more free to be more just me rather than like hold it back and, you know, kind of like PG version of myself. And now it's just like, all right, we're just gonna let it rip. Like, let's go. You know, I feel like there's a lot of underrated guys in that clubhouse too. Like, everyone thinks Larry and Junie, but Snoop and Vinny and Poop, whenever he gets back, you know, those guys too. Like, they're not out in Maine a whole bunch, but you know, they're a great clubhouse presence to be around. Always, you know, fun to talk to.
I love most of the Orioles, and I don't think you weren't there last year, so I know you missed the Triple E kind of brotherhood we had with the minor league team. But all of those guys, I mean, Poop is hilarious. I don't know if Vinny was there, but he's great. Spike in the other league we don't talk about too much. Great dude, especially. I know he runs a fantasy team over there. Deku has just been on fire, probably more than any other player in the MLR right now. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad you found a spot there, man. It sounds like there's a good dynamic. I know you guys have been up and down recently, but I think you guys are still, in the AL East race, and especially in the in the wild card for sure. I think you guys are all lined up right there.
Yeah.
Um,
When I do my award rankings, it's like I break it down by like records, so I can kind of and then like judge from there like what I actually think about teams.
right,
And there were so many 5-4 teams this week. Like I felt like it made up almost half the league.
right.
Like
Everyone's average.
I just had that list. Like it was probably close to half of it, and I was just like, holy cow, everyone's just so close.
Right. Yeah. And then so then you have to break it down, like you said. Some 5-4 teams are more RNG like than others, if that makes sense, and you rank them appropriately. But dang, I mean that's crazy. I mean the Mets have always liked you. I know we had the big brawl last year with Arizona, and I think you drop kicked someone or double kicked someone and it started some shit like that. And I think that's even what motivated Sablo to pick you up in the WBC, because he was like, man, this dude's feisty. I want him on the squad. And we've always enjoyed your uniqueness or your individuality, if you will.
Yeah. And you know what the best part about that was? We were playing San Francisco. Matt was our our umpire for that. And so I got a base hit, which is like, huge accomplishment for me. And I think I hit a double. And so I stole third. And then I was like, I'm stealing home. And like, I didn't give Reimer like really an option. Then I was like, all right, should I? And he was just like, we had a huge lead. And he was like, fine, steal home. And I was like, all right. So I messaged Matt like my steal number. And I was like, I just want you to know that either way, I kicked this catcher. They forgot. Like, I kicked this catcher. And then he messages me back and goes, you know what? I kind of wish that you had. He goes, if I had known that you were actually like this outgoing, I would have told you to ask for a trade sooner.
Oh, man, that's great.
And it's that does kind of carry with me. I do have that link saved somewhere. That one and the World Baseball Classic fight. So I always carry my ejections with me.
It sounds like you got to be the dude that gets into the bar fight when we're there. You're like the friend you always want to have with you when it's going to go down. Yeah, you can always be there.
I don't know how useful it'd actually be in a regular fight. I would definitely hit someone with a beer bottle over the head. I kind of feel like.
Yeah, that goes without saying, if you ask me. Well, dang, man, quite the journey, dude. Quite the journey. I'm gonna ask you a few maybe non-baseball related questions here. Mix it up a little bit, but start off with an easy one. Favorite meme number to swing, and it doesn't have to be a meme. Just favorite number to swing or to pitch, and why.
I kind of feel like my memeing is a little bit different. Like I will swing 69, 666, stuff like that. But
right.
I like to do area codes from where I've lived. I do my area code from where I was born at. Probably a lot of times. I think that was actually the first pitch I threw in MILR today was my area code, and then the one that back in Kentucky where I lived. Those two numbers I kind of will swing back and forth on. I mean, memeing does work, but I don't. I feel like if I get out when I meme, I kind of feel like an idiot. So like I do stuff that people won't like actually know that I'm memeing on, like the area codes or stuff like that, or like 369, which I actually hit a home run off that. Like I put like 369, damn, I'm fine, and I ended up hitting a home run, and I was just like, oh my god, it actually worked.
Feels the opposite than when you get out for sure.
Yeah.
Dang.
No, I started out pretty hot this season, and now it's just I'm struggling. I'm still hitting above 300, but like I was on fire at the start, and now it's just.
The law of averages finds its way almost in all cases. So, but good 5 sessions left still though.
Yeah. So hopefully I can turn it around a little bit. I know I'm not going to win MVP, but if I can make All-Star game, I'll be really happy.
Hey, there you go. I know they got to be voting on that pretty soon. I think that's like September 3rd. What is today, the 4th? Yeah, we're like a month out from. Man, this season has flown by.
It really has. Like I can't wait for like the next batch of rookies, but like I'm also trying to stay in the present and like have a little fun.
Right. Finish out the season strong. Yeah. What is your favorite Discord channel in Maine, or where would you say you participate the most, at least?
Probably games.
Okay.
If you go onto it and click on it for your information, it says that Wheeler and Dirtbag Talk Road to the Show. So like I do actually have like a channel like kind of dedicated to me. I do talk a lot of Road to the Show because past like 4 months, that's all I've been playing. It's been really like my only source of entertainment outside of the league, and it's fun when you're struggling on a mission or something. Go in there into games, complain to Dirtbag, and then all of a sudden I like pass the mission like as I'm typing the message.
There you go. How many seasons into it?
How many seasons?
Yeah, into Road to the Show are you?
I don't play Road to the Show that
much.
I play Diamond Dynasty.
Oh, I see. Okay,
I have a pretty good team, but I'm like in the actual Road to the Show. I'm like a month in, and I have like 27 home runs or something with my guy.
All right, I think I just don't get something with that game. Everyone I talk to is like a god, and I like hit 200, and it's on the beginner setting, and it's everything I can do to hit 200. So I don't know what I do wrong.
I mean, this is the first year I've actually I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it. Thankfully I got fired, so I was able to dedicate all my time into MLB The Show. And I this is the first time I've ever made like a type of run towards like the ranked seasons. I'm still not at the top level, but there were some nights I was just playing out of my mind, beating guys I had no right beating.
Hell yeah.
I try to play some people from here. I've played the pitcher formerly known as Jordan Lamas. I played him twice, pounded him twice.
Sorry,
Eggman and City Royals, played him twice, pounded him twice.
Damn.
So I like to flex a little bit in there.
We're going to have a chatter up Diamond Dynasty, some sort of tournament or something.
We've been talking about doing a tournament for a while. We just
haven't got it done.
I'm not really the person to put that together.
What's your best card?
Best card that's not free. Let's go with that. Stan Musial. I just unlocked him the other day.
Okay.
Best card that I play with that's free to everybody though is Barry Larkin. I'm a Reds fan in real life, and as soon as I got the chance to take him, I did. So
interesting, very interesting. Damn, I'm gonna switch gears on you again real quick then, and ask you back to MLR stuff. Of all the squads, if you could take over being a GM tomorrow, what squad do you pick and why?
Oh, I'm not going to take the controversial one here. So let's go with...
Hot takes are welcome, so feel free.
I feel like this is probably too hot of a take. That's I put my name in to be a GM, and I feel like if I actually speak on it, they're not going to let me.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
So I would say Arizona.
Okay.
Not that there's anything wrong with Ray. I would say that Arizona, just because they took me in when I needed a place, and it immediately felt like a brotherhood, and we kind of, we sucked last year, but we sat there and grinded, and I had a lot of fun in that clubhouse, and a lot of the same guys are still there. If not them, give me Baltimore. I guess we're not gonna venture too far out of the box. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Ray, pretty good guy too. I'm decent friends with John Stewart, who does a lot of media stuff, and Ray was one of the first people to get into that media stream. So John always had good things to say about him. So I hope he takes advantage of his opportunity here. Solo GM now. So I mean, you think he's geared up for it? A little off topic.
Yeah, I honestly think probably 90% of why they're one of the better teams in MLR is probably because of Ray.
Dang.
I know what kind of scouting he brought in, and you can kind of tell the turnaround from last year where they were barely a 500 club to where they're at now, where they can make a run in the NL. I feel like they have a shot at the Styrofoam Cup.
Dang. Paper Cup. Wow.
Paper Cup. That's my bad.
Unfortunately, they're in the NL, so I just, I don't think they can get through New York City. But second place in the NL is pretty good still too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ranking New York number 2 until you guys lose.
Don't put that pressure on us. I think we're down by 1 in the slowest game we've played this year to the Braves, but Braves have already beat us once.
The funny thing was, Sablo missed, I think, 3 games. You guys went 0-3 in that time. He came back, and you guys have won every game since.
We are literally undefeated when Sablo's on the roster.
Yeah. Literally, put Sablo's name in the lineup, I'm ranking you guys too, because you're winning. I've seen his stats are a little lower than mine, but Sablo's a much better player than I am. And, Sablo's
he's a certain...
it's that Sablo magic. It's the write-up magic.
And that's what I was going to say. It's a certain glue, and I don't want to gush too much about it, but he has a certain energy that he brings to the clubhouse, and a lot of activity goes through Sablo, even with me and Tiber in there. So the dude has that Sablo magic, like you said. I think maybe he should trademark it or something.
Yeah, he's insane. I love him to death. We played at VT. We played for Jamaica. I had him locked up for 3 sessions in my basement, according to some people.
That's where he went. I was curious about that, man.
That's just according to some people that were like accusing me. They're like, he kidnapped Sablo. We all live in Florida.
Can't confirm. Those sources can't confirm.
I'm just trying to figure out. No. We still hang around. We still, talk every now and again in the Virginia Tech chats, whenever something happens to one of us. Like Zelk becoming an OOTC, we talked a little bit there. We just Bingo Hammersmith just retired from Kansas City last week.
Yeah.
We brought it up and talked a little bit there. And we're doing the Brian Ball tournament. We're getting the team back together as much as we can. And then I added a few more new guys.
Is that did I sign with you? Is that a thing that happened?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I just remember it was real fast. Someone pinged me and they're like, hey, you're not on UCLA. And then the PVB DM'd me and you were the first one. So I said, sign me up. I didn't even know what team it was.
Yeah, I was hoping to have enough. We had 3 pitchers still in MLR. One of them rejected me, and I would have had to use one of them as a hitter. And then we had a first baseman retire. We had a third baseman retire, and our catcher from our season retired. So I wasn't able to pick up enough hitters and pitchers combined. So I had to go through and find some free agents.
I mean, you guys had way more than I think. UCLA was literally me and Cockle, and I think we had one other. Oh, it was Dixon, and he was even honorary. He didn't even play at UCLA. So we had all 2 of us. I
brought you, Dixon, and Tristan from the Reds. I brought them in.
Okay, I like Tristan too. Try and get him on one day. Last question, and it's a little bit more involved, but a lot of discussion going on in committee, especially about MLR expansion and how it is going to look like. A lot of people throwing out sister leagues, a lot of people thinking about moving just to 36 teams and keeping a single league, and just a lot of conversation about it. I just want to maybe get your thoughts on if you think, A, if MLR should even expand, and B, if so, what's the best way to do it in your opinion?
I honestly, I don't think we should expand.
Okay.
I like kind of having like the MLB kind of feel to it.
I can hear that.
I mean, there are enough like one-off leagues that do run throughout the season. I feel like we haven't had a whole lot this season, but they're, it's I like the 30 teams. I honestly, if we were going to do a big recruitment, and like, I'm not saying Reddit only players are bad, but I think like the big push would be to get like more onto Discord only, or like Discord and Reddit, and I could see that becoming a thing in like the near future, like within the next 2 or 3 seasons, when you're bringing in more people on the Discord and more activity on the Discord, and then you're just kind of like weeding out the people that aren't on Discord. But as far as expansion, no.
So more just strengthening the rosters, being nice. 50% of the rosters inactive, kind of moving those guys out, or not inactive. Maybe Reddit only is a better description. Yeah. And then getting the Discord active people kind of to take their place is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. I think that would probably be the best kind of fix to it. And like that's nothing against like the Reddit only players, I'm sure, but like I don't know. I kind of feel like scouting is a big part of it, and if you're not in the Discord, then you're literally guessing a number 1 through 1,000 and hoping you're right, and I don't see the value in that.
Yeah, no, I definitely. There's a lot of people that kind of feel the same way. So, and then other people have the other argument that it's Major League Reddit ball, and if you're on Reddit, you should be able to play it, and that's where the advertising and the games happen. So I think there's a lot of validity to both sides, and I think I kind of tend to agree with you. I kind of like the activity part of it. I mean, even if I retired from MLR tomorrow, I would like to stay in the Mets clubhouse and be able to talk to them the same way I do all the time. They become kind of almost routine. If that, like, I wake up, I go to work, and the Discord's there, and I'm talking to the same guys every day. So I think I kind of agree with you on that. But I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Go ahead though.
Just making like forming like these online friendships. it's super interesting because it's like I don't get super in detail with everybody, but like there are some guys that I'm just like, man, I'm having a rough day. Like Rusty was one of those people that like I could just kind of DM and just be just kind of talk, and
Yeah.
it felt nice to have like that kind of friendship when it was like I just needed somebody to talk to, and
No.
like I couldn't like if I couldn't go somewhere else to like talk to somebody, it was nice to have like kind of that brotherhood and that friendship with people that like you can still just like DM and just bullshit with, and
Yeah.
you know it, it it's a lot of fun, and that's the reason I'm still in it. My girlfriend keeps trying to get me to leave, but I'm like, I don't think she understands fully.
It's tough, and I hope mine's not listening right now. She usually does sound checks for me, but you definitely have to find a balance, and
Yeah,
even just umpiring sometimes, what are you talking to people? And it's like, no, it's a different thing. So you definitely got to find a balance to it. But that's funny. I can relate to that one for sure, man.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
eh,
I haven't gotten into dumping because of that. Like she thinks
ah,
looking at my phone, she's like, tell your boyfriends I said hey. I'm like, I'm looking at like an ESPN article. Leave me
right,
alone.
right. Yeah, not even related. So that's probably a good plan. Maybe I'll have to retire someday when we have more umps and save a little
Yeah.
face that way. But um, Nipsey, I appreciate you being on the show. I want you to know,
Yeah.
too, my DMs are always open if you need anything like that. Want to do media stuff, want to
Yeah.
bullshit about Brian Ball, whatever it is. Communication's always open with me. Eat with me, man. And I'll finish up here. Just let you have a second if you want to shout out anybody or any teams or anything you want to do before we outro you. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me. Fuck the Yankees, go Orioles. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on, give me a chance to talk a little here.
Of
Um,
course.
but yeah, I should also say hi to my alt, Callie. I know
Ah.
he's in the chat. Um,
Are you going to type? Let's see if you type something and then Kelly says hi. Oh, I don't know. Oh, look, he moved for it. Callie, if you're out there, don't do it, man.
yeah.
That's funny. All right, Nipsey, I'm gonna let you go. Then I appreciate you being on the show. You're the third ever interview. It was a great interview. Lots of insight. You've had a crazy journey, man, and I wish you and the Oreos the best to finish out the year, dude. And we'll definitely talk soon, man.
Yep. Thanks. Have
All
a good
right,
one.
you too. All right, that was Nipsey Slip, the Oreos, jack of all trades, second baseman, shortstop, right fielder. Been on 3 or 4 teams in the last year or so. Joining us here on Chatter Up, Nipsey, if you're still out there, can't thank you enough for being on the show. It was a great interview. Covered a lot of topics. A wide range of topics: MLR, what's going on now, what's going on in the past, a few retirements, a few personal things too. So I really appreciate that. We are going to move on to some scoring reviews, try and speed this up a little bit. We got the panel waiting. I want to make sure I can get them in. And bear with me here. Actually, I might even do this real quick, make sure this works. Oh, God, I'm panicking. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to transition over to the scorecard here. I hope you guys can still hear me. These scores might be a couple hours late. I know Emerson gave us some live SportsCenter scoring update with a home run earlier, so feel free to correct me in the chat. But just going over my picks for session 10 and at least catching up through the midway point. see where I'm at. For those who are keeping track at home, which I don't think is anyone at all, I was 7-8 last week, or last session, I should say, session 9. And one of those 7 wins is counting the Mets game, which I had to pick by default. So really 6-8 if you don't count them, which is a little bit embarrassing. But session 10 right now, I'm just going to run down the list. I picked the Yankees in the Yankee-Seattle game. It was knotted up, but I think that might be the game EA updated us on. But for now, I have it as a tie. I can't bring up the current scoreboard because it'll mess everything up, so I'm not too much of a noob. Baltimore and KCR, that was the game we were just talking to Nipsey about. They are up by 1. I picked KCR, sorry Nipsey, but they're down by 1 right now. So that's looking pretty good for the Eggplant Bros. Tampa Bay and Boston is actually final already. I did pick Tampa Bay. They've just fell short by a run to Boston. Boston probably hates me by now, even though they're my Miracle Bros. I've picked against them twice now, but that's a loss in the column for me. Oakland and Toronto, also went with Toronto here. Another loss for me. Oakland pulls out a 2-run win in a very high-scoring game for that one, 9-7. Sorry, Milo. I know he was on last week. That I went down for that, but I picked them because of you, so I stuck with you there, brother. Minnesota, Cleveland, picked the Twins to win this one. They had a big win. I thought this game would be a little bit closer with Cleveland surging. Speedo seems to have things kind of get back on track there, but Minnesota gets a big win there, so that's a W for myself. The White Sox and Pittsburgh, I picked Pittsburgh pretty comfortably here. They have a large lead, so not too much more to add there. I messed up on my editing here because New York and the Chicago White Sox can't be playing again. So now I'm even questioning the validity of this. I'm going to actually look at the real scoreboard and see if it won't mess things up here. Dang. That's my first real mess up on this thing. So I had the right New York game. This might be Philadelphia and Montreal. Do I have them down there? I do. San Francisco, Miami, I have. St. Louis, Cincinnati, I have. Texas, LLA, I have. Oh, Seattle is winning 2-0 on the Yankees, by the way. I don't know what game that is that I'm supposed to have. So we're going to go on by it, I guess. Detroit and Houston. 5-3 is I had picked Houston. Houston winning on that one right now. Texas and the Angels. I picked Texas. They are up by 1 currently, and that still holds true right now. I did pick Miami in the Miami-San Francisco game. I know that one had some early theatrics to it. Miami making a little bit of a comeback, though, down 3, but it's still a loss for me as it sits now. The Phillies and Montreal, an NL East battle. Montreal up by 1. I'm trying to see if that's still true here, and it is top of 4. I am winning that one. St. Louis and the Reds. St. Louis I did pick as a mini upset, but they are up by 1 right now, so I'm going to take that. Milwaukee, Colorado. This one is a little surprising, and it looks like Milwaukee even is another run up here. So it's 4-1 right now. Colorado is a team that I'm very big on. That's an L for me currently. And the Dodgers in Arizona, that score is a little bit different. LAD up by 2 now. And I did pick them to win in another mini upset. So maybe the super team is starting to show life out there. So good on them. Let's see if I can get it over to the session preview. And I knew this would be a thing. So let me adjust it real quick here. I'm not too bad at this Discord stuff, but I'm still trying to get better for sure. And of course, that's how it's going to be. Oh, no, look at that. It's not bad at all. We're going to transition over. And we're going to look ahead. Next session, starting on the 10th, more than likely. I don't think there's been any delays. We're going to run through these real quick. Just going to make some picks. Yankees, Blue Jays. To start us off, I think that's going to be a good game. Yankees are home and with a little bit more momentum. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Yankees for this game. The Angels and the Orioles. After that, Angels are another one of those teams that are kind of a little bit bumpy as they've gone throughout the season. I still think they're a pretty solid squad. We'll see if they can pull it off against Texas. But I think with the new addition to the Orioles, despite them being down now, I like the home field advantage there, so I'm going to give them the edge. The Colt 45s and the Red Sox, this is a pretty big game, in my opinion, as far as AL seeding goes. I know the Colts are pretty far out ahead in the West, but Red Sox are still vibing for the AL East spot and a wild card spot, so I think it's going to affect them a little bit. I hope that gives them some motivation to pull this one out, and for the first time in Chatter Up history, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Red Sox to take this one down. Texas and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, as of late, fading just a hair. I've picked them in the last couple games. They've been doing okay. Texas kind of defying the odds, it seems like, a little bit in how their season's going versus activity. I need a semi-upset pick. I'm actually going to go Rangers in this game. Moving on to a AL Central battle, the White Sox, who are still trying to find their season, against Kansas City, who is down by 1 but been hot as of late. I think a lot of people kind of forget about the Royals. I think they were 6th or 7th in the power rankings this past go-around. I like them in this game as well to keep it going. The Indians and the Reds, if the Reds don't win this one, I think that's 2 in a row in the loss column for them. The Indians seem like they found some footing midseason, but big loss this last week. And I'm going to go ahead and let the Reds have the nod here, see if they can have a bounce back on a struggling, or at least coming off a 1-game struggling Indians team. And then another AL Central battle with the Twins and the Tigers. The Tigers, man, are a team that I thought was right there and about to hop over the hump, if you will. But they've seemed to have a rough of it the last 2 or 3 weeks. Minnesota coming off a big win. I'm going to take the Twins riding that momentum for that game. Oakland and Seattle. Seattle, I know they're up now 2-0 on the Yankees. I think that would be a huge win for the Seattle franchise. Still kind of structuring and finding their way after the Cal departure. The A's are a team that I have felt really good about almost all season, and another 9-run performance with them. You know what? I think this one, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick an upset, and I'm sorry, A's bros, I love you, but I'm going to say the Mariners, they get it right and they make a win here, and I'll take the win there. Moving on to NL East battle, the Braves and the Marlins. The Marlins down by a couple runs. The Braves are actually beating the Mets by a point here. The Braves have this amazing streak, especially if they hold on against the Mets, that they will be undefeated in the NL East. If that holds true and they can finish this session with a W, I'm going to take them actually over the Marlins, who I think might have a overall more solid team, but the Braves just can't seem to lose to the NL East. So give me the Braves in this matchup. Mets and Expos, NL East. I don't ever pick the Mets games because we're always going to win. So easy win for us over the Expos. Moving on to the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. Diamondbacks are skidding a little bit. They're also down in this game. I think that would make it 3 in a row after being, I think, power ranked 2 or 3 at one point. And I was one of those voters that had them up there. Phillies, up and down, but a little bit more down than up recently. I know they're in a tight game with the Expos right now, but I'm going to take the Phillies in this game regardless. And then moving on to a big NL Central game, the Pirates, who don't need a real explanation here, the best start in MLR history, best streak in MLR history, against the Cubs, who were early season very highly ranked, having a hard time as of late, but just had a huge win against the Dads that I umped 11-2. This game is an underrated game this session. I think it'll be a close game, but I think this could be another one of those dumb Pirate extra inning games where they win it in the 7th or the 8th. So give me the Pirates in this one. Moving on to another battle there, the Cardinals and the Brewers. The Brewers up on Colorado Rockies right now, very impressively. I've said it all along. I think they're a team right on the cusp. The Cardinals also always average to above average, and they're finding a way right now. They're also up 2-1 on Cincinnati. Another underrated game, in my opinion, here. One that I would like to umpire maybe. Man, I kind of want to flip a coin on this one. Give me the Cardinals. Give me the Cardinals to take one down against the Brewers in this game. Moving out west, the Dodgers and the Giants, two teams who are clearly historical figures in this league, who are both having tough seasons. We had the super team meme on one side. We had the mass departure on the Giants side. Both teams finding a stride as of late. I think this is also a very interesting game. I think the team that wins this probably has a good finish to the season, and the team that loses probably putters out to 500 or maybe a few under. So that being said, I'm going to go with the Giants in this one. A little bit of offense lately. Not that the Dodgers can't win. Like I said, I think it's a coin toss, but I'll take the Giants. And then lastly, moving on to the Dads and the Rockies. The Rockies, I won't harp on it any longer. They're one of my favorite teams, I would say, or at least as far as odds go to win a paper cup. The Dad Gang is one of the more fun teams in my opinion. They were above 500 last week, but after their loss to the Cubs, will be at 500 again. I don't know if the Rockies will be able to come back against Milwaukee. It's top of 6, 2 outs. But I'm going to say they have a bounce back game if they do lose against the Dads. But I think this one goes either way. I think the Dads can come back also. I think they could be mad about this Cubs loss, but we'll see how it goes. So I'll take the Rockies in the last game there. So that gets us through the session recap, or at least my score recap, I should say. Milo does the Sports Center recaps, and it takes care of our picks in the future. I'm keeping track of all of this. Like I said, I'm 7 and 8 from the first session first episode of Chatter Up, and I'll keep that running throughout the year as well. So generally, this is the part where we would move on to our call-ins. We don't have the call-ins though. So we're going to skip right into a panel. I told those guys at 7 o'clock. It is 3 till, so I'm pretty proud of myself there. We're going to have a myriad of dudes here, though, so it's going to be a little bit of a standby as I adjust everything for the stream. But give me 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm going to get these guys in here, and we'll have a big discussion. Thanks, guys. All right. Thank you for hanging out for just a second. It looks like all of you stayed. I'm so happy. All right. We got our panel here, I should say. I'm going to go through introductions one by one as soon as I fix my displays here. Of course, I'm just messing all of this up, though. Oh, look, it stayed. I'm so happy. Okay, so with us today, we have Blue Jays left fielder, first baseman, and correct me on how to say this. Is it Doc Crudelly?
Crudelly.
Crudelly.
So,
oh.
Yeah, it was a MLB The Show random player name assignment that Matt Vasgersian could actually say when I made a Road to the Show character, so I just stuck with it because it's so ridiculous. So.
Hey, that works out a lot. Well, I appreciate you joining. How you doing tonight, Doc?
Good.
You're having real life happening right now, so I'm going to move on to our next guest. We got Shirley Sir. He plays right field. He plays left field. He plays catcher for the Reds. Shirley, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I'm surviving. I'm sure we'll talk more about that here in a second, too. We also are joined by Brewer center fielder, right fielder Guido. Is it Ligiorno?
Ligiorno.
Ligiorno. You can tell how white and terrible I am at pronouncing these, so I apologize. How are you doing tonight, Guido?
Oh man, I am popping off tonight, my friend.
Popping off's better than not, so I'll take that one. And then lastly, bringing in our Houston Colt 45's second base, first baseman, Streetlamp LeMoose with his street lamp in tow. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm great, man.
That sounds great. Guys, I appreciate everyone here being here. Doc on the cam, you're the first cam person on a panel, so I appreciate that too. And guys, I think I'm going to jump right into it, but we're not going to do... traditionally, I've been doing the standings first, and I'm going to adjust one of my screens here. I think we're going to do the standings last, just to mix things up a little bit. So I know you guys have a light script going on, and I'm going to start with a conversation that I had a little bit with Nipsey as far as MLR expansion goes. And Doc is doing technical difficulties, but he'll be able to hop back in here. A lot of conversation on how the MLR is going to expand. Should it expand as a general topic? I don't know how many of you guys are in committee, but we got a big proposal in there now. I know Art had mentioned even doing 3 leagues of 36 teams. I don't want to throw too much information at you, and maybe we can start with Guido. What are your thoughts on the MLR? Should we expand? If we do expand, how do we do it? What are you thinking there?
I mean, I loved Art's idea of just adding a 3rd league and then thinking about Sister League in the future. I get the whole argument for making a Sister League now and creating a foundation that we can use in the future to grow to potentially 60 teams. But trying to undergo that now while we don't really have a good grasp on just how many players we're going to have coming in, it seems like a safer bet to just create the 3rd league, add the 6 teams instead of the 8, and not have to worry about maybe restructuring team limits.
I was also a fan of Art's suggestion. It made me feel a little bit of out of the park baseball like with creating a 3rd league in there. I think it's pretty plausible. And Shirley, I know we talked about it briefly off stream. You have a few other thoughts on that, on how we should expand or if we should expand as well, right?
Yeah, so when I read the proposal, it honestly sounded like just another minor leagues where the whoever's in this 3rd league is not really going to take it as seriously. I'd rather expand the minor leagues than create a 3rd league.
Do you think that every big league team should have their own minor league team, no more sharing?
Yes, I do think it should be each major leagues team should have their own minor league team. And then, honestly, start even thinking about potentially a farm system at that point.
And you mean farm system like another league of like AA MILR? Is that what you're saying?
Like that, or even how the Angels did their experiment with Cali, where they start their career in the minors and work their way up through activity and doing well.
Doc, what are your thoughts on this expansion and whether we should be expanding and how we should be expanding?
I mean, I'm open to expanding because I definitely think there might be some folks who, on some teams that the roster limits relatively, or the roster player rather, is really, really high where they're not maybe getting as much playing time as they want. So I can definitely see the value added in that. But otherwise, I don't really have too many strong feelings. I haven't read the proposal all that deeply. I just know, like, on the surface, I think as long as whatever we propose, whether it's expansion, another series in minor league, what have you, as long as people are actually, getting a chance to, play or try something different. Like I, for example, like to just pitch in minor league just because it's not what I normally do in MLR. I enjoy it. There's something fun and different about it. So I get to just get the, best of both worlds. So I think, if we use it like that, I think it'd be great. I hate to see it as just become diluted nonsense that just becomes one more league that people just have to keep track of.
Yeah, more of a nuisance than it is a benefit or something to that degree. Streetlamp, you're another rookie in this area. You're about 10 or 11 sessions into your career. How do you feel about MLR expansion, and is there a right way to do it?
First, I think it's inevitable because even though we have had, of course, some high-profile retirements, the amount of retirements is definitely not going to compare to the amount of new signups we get if we do a sticky day, especially if it gets sticky to our baseball again. For how the expansion would go, I'm not entirely sure. I do believe every team should have their own minor league team, but I also believe that if the team rosters themselves get that much bigger, then the major league playing time, which everybody is really going after, let's be real, is going to be pretty limited. So I think we would have to expand to more teams. I would probably go for, I don't know if it's a third league, technically I guess it is, but I'd almost go with like a sister league just to make up some new team leagues, out of the park style. So just like put a team in Louisville or Charlotte or whatever random town you want to, as long as it's not too far-fetched, and maybe like have an extra large sticky day, or try to introduce 12 new teams or whatever, and then have them play mostly each other, but also have those teams play a few games against the existing MLR teams to try to keep people on those teams sort of into the whole vibe of the traditional MLR teams. That's probably how I'd go about it. I don't know. I'm not the king of the world.
No, definitely. I mean, we're all just a bunch of average Joes here talking about the MLR, so who knows if anyone even cares what we're saying. But to piggyback on what Streetlamp just said, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm not sure if the other three of you are in the other league. I know Shirley is. We try not to talk about that other league too often, but they have the 16, more out of the park style. It's a, fantasy, generic team names. They're not tied to any MLB system or establishment. And maybe I'll even start with Shirley since I know you're there. Do you think the MLR, if they expand, should take on a system like that where we're not so tied to a traditional MLB cities and names?
Absolutely. If we do create this sister league, if it's not going to be more MLB like teams or MLB, if it doesn't have the feel of the MLB, I don't think people are going to care about it as much. I think if it's all fantasy teams, it's just going to feel like another MLB minor league team.
Anybody else play in the other league that's on this pod? No?
No, I don't.
Well, Doc, what if you feel if we broke out of, and to give you an idea, one of the teams is the Ursa Major Grizzlies. It's a constellation based on a bear, and that's one of the teams. Do you think that will lose people in the MLR as far as interest goes? Do you think that being tied to the MLB is what keeps people around? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think what for somebody like me who's relatively new to it. I mean, season 5, like rookie. I like the idea when I first found it on, our baseball was like it's an emulation of, MLB style. Obviously there's some nuances that are a little bit different, but fundamentally it's the same thing. And for something right now, we're not getting a lot of real life sports. Like this is like to me like a nice fun alternative. But with that being said, I mean, a sister league with like goofy minor league team names or something similar. I mean, I think even if they're, the major league equivalent of that, I don't think it'd be a problem. And I think someone mentioned it earlier. If you could make it where, we do have NL, AL interleague play, much like the real MLB does, but you can do cross, MLR cross league play like that. I think it would be enough of an incentive to tie that in, or potentially figure out a means to tie in a playoff system where there's actually some vested interest in making it, cross league competitive.
Sure. Double cross league stuff. Guido, do you feel kind of the same with that? I know Houston, like the 45s, it's a traditional name. What's an Astros, the meme there? I mean, do you feel kind of the same way with straying from the MLB style names or system?
I'm more indifferent to it than I think the majority of people that are in the MLR. Just based on the conversations that we've had within the committee, I think the committee is very much centered on keeping the MLB structure. So in that essence, I agree with Shirley that if there is a sister league that isn't centered on the MLB, like it's going to be impossible for people to take it as seriously as they take MLR.
And I mean, Streetlamp, you're on the squad. I mean, would your feelings be any different if it was the Houston Astros versus the Colt 45s?
If I had joined the Astros originally, I would have absolutely no problem with it. I mean, I feel like I'd be a little irked. I'm a little irked at whatever proposals they've had to try to get us essentially to change our name back, just because I feel a little bit targeted, I guess. I don't know. I don't mind it because they've definitely had that name before. I think it's a cool name, so there definitely is still that sense of realism. If we're forced to change back, it wouldn't be the worst thing, but I don't think it's terrible to have us in the league, especially since they also have the Expos instead of the Nationals as another example. So, I don't know.
Right. And this may be open question to anyone. If we had a sister league tomorrow and there was 8, 12, or 16 teams that had more fantastical names or different names, personally, would your interest wane a little bit in fake baseball in general?
I don't think so. I mean, for me, I think the fundamental concept of how it's structured in similarity to the MLB, to Streetlamp's point. Okay, Colt 45s. If I was on Houston, I wouldn't, as a Blue Jay, I can't believe I would acknowledge being on Houston. No, I wouldn't get too hung up on it. You know what I mean? As long as the fundamental structure is not really different, as long as you still have the two leagues with the division split out with the same type of rule set, I wouldn't be, whether I was on the Seattle Pilots or the Boston Braves or the Brooklyn Dodgers, it wouldn't bother me. I mean, if we wanted, as just an example. So to me, there's not that much stake in a name, but it makes it, because in reality, we don't actually, in a lot of cases, have maybe fandom that's directly tied to the team we play for. Right. I grew up in real life an NL Central fan. I don't, playing for Toronto, other than the name, there's really no Blue Jays centric, fandom that exists. I mean, sure, we play in the Rogers Center on our own little AL Dinger Dome, but that's really about it. So to me, kind of some of you guys said, I don't think the name would be enough that it would drive me away.
Anybody here? Go ahead.
I feel like, in my mind, it has to at least be realistic. So, again, an OTP general type of name would make sense to me and would be perfectly fine by me. Whereas if they sort of started going into the minor league realm, the Dad Gang is a great name. That's a fantastic minor league name. I don't think it's a great major league name. And then crossing over into the territory we won't talk about, a team like the Soper McDophers, that cool name, but it's also a joke, and I feel like it would make people take the sister league less seriously.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
At the end of the day, you get into it what you get out of it what you put into it. So, with the minor league, people like to bitch and moan about it and just not take it seriously. But I've looked at it as just have as much fun as I can league, where I go in, I swing something, I get a hit, I pitch at the end of the game just because why not? And I make most of it because why not?
I hear that. And Shirley, I don't know if you have any last comments on it. I know we're teammates in that other league we don't talk about much, but if the MLR has a lot of different names, fantastical names, alternate names, do you think you're less interested in playing in that league?
So, to kind of put it in perspective, there's a reason why I really wanted to play for the Cincinnati Reds, but I could really care less about the Cincinnati Rhinos.
I mean, that's fair. That's totally fair. It's interesting, and I'll be interested in seeing how the proposal stuff kind of comes through. It's an interesting topic every year, and I know it can kind of change the course of where we're going. It keeps things the same, so I thought that'd be a good topic to kind of talk about, and I appreciate your guys' different insights on it. I think there's a lot of differing opinions on this in the league, so I'm going to switch gears just a little bit then and get us out of such a serious topic. And kind of exclude Shirley a little bit here because I want to kind of talk to the rookies a little bit about the expectations you had or what you thought the league was going to be, and then what it actually has turned out to be now that we're more than a season or half of a season into it. And maybe, Guido, you can lead us off on this. How has reality kind of met with your expectations?
Sure, yeah. So I didn't have a whole lot of expectations. I know at the beginning of the year, we were kind of talking about this there. Because the three of us were higher draft picks, I don't know, I can't speak for the other two, but I definitely had some expectations put on myself because of that.
Sure.
Where I started off in a huge slump and I just got really, really down on myself. I didn't expect not being able to get a hit in fake baseball to like emotionally affect me, but being 1 for 11 like actually made me somewhat upset. To the point where I took a session and a half off just to like have some fun in the minors and try to like think of a new way to scout. And whatever I did worked because I've hit 3 home runs in the last 2 sessions back in MLR. So
look at this guy over here bragging about his 3 dingers in 2 games. Doc, how's it been up in Toronto? What you expected versus what's going on?
It's been good. I mean, like, you know, kind of like you said, like, you know, not really getting a whole sense of coming into it out of like like college ball, like about kind of where the draft capital meant. Because, you know, in real life draft capital, there's definitely like legitimate expectations to it versus fake Reddit ball. And so like there was kind of this like, I clearly haven't played that great in college, and people would say, it doesn't matter. And then you're like drafted and you're like, okay, well, guys, like, gonna get hella mad if I don't hit well or what? So it's kind of been interesting in that regard. And then kind of just realizing like there's just all the different dynamics of just like and skill sets with this game. Like I just thought a game about guessing numbers would be so easy, and turns out it's definitely not as easy as it, you know, can be at times. And you know, and definitely to Guido's point, I mean, I'm competitive in a lot of stuff I do, sports or otherwise, and even if something as trivial as pretend baseball, you know, where I'm just guessing numbers, there'd be like times I'm like, what the hell? I looked at the scouting sheet, you know, I kind of looked at what the pitcher was doing. Like I would take it seriously and I'd guess like 37 and the dude would pitch 691. And I'm like, perfect. Of course he did.
Exactly what I was expecting.
Yep. So it's actually been surprising, but it's been a good time. I mean, it's been fun, and you know, and being part of a team that like sounds like, you know, they had some struggles. I think the last season didn't actually win more than a couple games, and to already score, you know, more runs than they did all of last season through 10 sessions. It's kind of fun. You know, it's fun seeing that it's, you know, it's not just repeating the cycle, so to speak.
No, definitely. I think the Blue Jays have definitely been on the up and up, especially compared to last year. And I mean, speaking of teams that are doing really well, Streetlamp, I mean, you came into this team and you guys are 8-1 right now. So, I mean, how have you kind of found a fit into the team, and has it kind of met what you were thinking it was going to be?
Yeah, it's been great. It's not necessarily exactly what I expected, because, I mean, I rolled out from the draft from my college clubhouse thinking, I want to be on the most active team possible. I want a really active clubhouse where somebody's always talking, someone's always up for a conversation, whatever. And I feel like that might not even necessarily be the best thing, because when someone's always talking, people might tend to step on each other's feet more, and then that can create a little bit of chaos.
Sure.
Whereas Houston's clubhouse, there's not always even a notification up there, but there's always somebody, usually Derek, but always somebody down for a conversation, and it's a great time. We don't need to have people talking 24/7 to mesh well, to do what we got to do, and there's always people around if you need a comment on what you think your swing should be, or if you just want to talk about sourdough, which is what our favorite channel in there is. It's kind of odd, but I'm with it. I'm rolling with it.
I need some inside information, Streetlamp. How much does Sam talk in there?
He's not a huge talker. He's around.
Okay.
He's around, and when he has something to say, he'll talk. He's a lot like me in that way. I'm not a huge talker myself, but if I have something to add to the conversation, I'll definitely add it. Maybe an offhand comment here and there.
Okay. He's my ump mentor, so I just wonder how much he's doing nowadays. So I don't mean to create any animosity or you have a call him out or anything. I was just curious. And Shirley, I know you're not a rookie, but you are on a new team this year. How has your transition been from the Expos to the Reds? I think you're a Reds fan in real life. Is that true?
Yes, that is correct. And honestly, it's been like living a long dream of mine, being able to play for the Reds in any sort of kind of fashion.
Is everything RNG as much as Zelk makes it out to be?
Yes, there is absolutely no scouting whatsoever. I don't even scout.
That's amazing. You guys are amazing. I love the Reds.
I wish I had that kind of bravery.
I tried to give Zelk credit on the last podcast, and he's like, "No, man, we just pick random numbers." And half of me believed him, but half of me needed to double check. So I'll trust Shirley's assessment of that situation for now. All right, kind of on the same vein, but a little similar. I also have 3 umpires in here, and I don't mean to leave another person out like we just did Shirley for the rookies, but I kind of want to just ask about the general umpire experience and what it's been like, and I guess we'll just keep it at that, the personal experience with it. And maybe, Shirley, you can lead us off on this one since you were the lone man out. How's that been for you umpiring this season, and is there anything you'd like to be different or changes in any way, shape, or form?
That's different than what I thought the question was.
Yeah, that's a new one. Throwing that on you out of surprise.
Any changes I'd like to see is
it doesn't have to be necessarily changes. Just your experience with umping. I know you're really big into the RP too. Like I think that's a big part of the league. I'm just curious on how you feel about it and how you go about it.
So I really wish there was more of an incentive for more creative write-ups. Shout out to the Taipei game this session. First session, I really can't stick to a gimmick. But yeah, I really wish it was more of an incentive. I know there used to be an award for the most creative write-ups. I think they retired it in season 4. But other than that, I enjoy my ump experience. I try to be as arbitrary as I can, no matter who I'm umping. I know the offices of the commissioner is probably going to be starting to assign games here soon.
Bum bum bum. No, I feel
I just try to make sure the game is played fair and try to enhance it for both teams, and that's kind of been my whole
experience. Man.
Yep.
Guido, how has umping been for you? I mean, also being a new player in the league, how do you feel like it's been going?
Yeah, it is a lot less work and also a lot more work than I originally thought. A lot less work just because we don't actually have to do math. A lot more work in that. With some teams, if you don't have the result in within 5 minutes, the result in for you. Team chat.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh okay. Well, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Do you think there needs to be more ump courtesy going on?
I don't think I would say that. I think some umps are definitely slower than others. But I think we can probably be more respectful with the way that we treat umps. Personally, like I said about minors, I just try to make the best of it, do some fun write-ups. When the score starts getting lopsided, it can be hard to be creative. And you just kind of want to get the game over with. But
those short, choppy responses.
I mean, you try not to, but eventually it's just like ball go over wall for the 5th time. There's only so many times you can do asterisk, 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 crack, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. So,
I definitely feel that. Who's I don't know who the third ump is. Is that Streetlamp?
That would be me.
Same question, my friend. How has umping been in the rookie season, and do you feel like it goes well? Do you think anything could change?
From like the second or third week I was in the minors, or not the minors, in college, I knew I wanted to be an ump, and honestly, umping is my favorite part, just because I'm in real life, I'm an engineering major right now. I'm in college, so writing is not my forte in general.
Right.
But really, do enjoy doing it a little more than I would like to admit, even if I'm crap at it most of the time, especially in any organized manner. But I love just being able to play a character, being able to just write up anything I want to, really. And I love when the batters in their write-ups give me like a sentence or two to work off of, just sort of set a scene that I can roll with it. If they just give me a number, I give myself permission just to like act like a color commentator almost and just give them what the play is. That's how I play that off. But I love when somebody gives me something wacky or ridiculous to roll with, using whatever as a bat, and then I get to write a couple paragraphs, especially if something great happens with it. And then it just brings me joy. I love umping.
I feel the exact same way. I only ump because it's the creative outlet. I love being the color commentator until someone does something silly, and then you can make this silly comment in response. And then you kind of just roll with it. So I think we're exactly like-minded on that one, Streetlamp. And so Doc, you're the, I don't know if you're back from getting a drink yet. You're the lone person out. What is keeping you from being an ump, Doc?
Oh man, I think it has to be. Got to turn my camera back on. I think it's just the time commitment. Like I mean, I'm in front of my computer most of the day. You know, I have an office job. I'm working from home, as I'm sure most folks who work are. Right. So I definitely have more time for MLR and Discord now. But I just would hate to commit to something like that. Things start to go back to normal whenever they are, and then I just don't have the time. You know, my personal life just kind of gets in the way of it. So I feel like that would probably be the thing that would prevent me from doing it. That's not to say I probably wouldn't dabble. I mean, especially in MILR, I might just go in there and maybe at some point and just offer like, hey, if people, don't want to ump or need a break. Because, I mean, I respect the heck out of the process of umping because it's no joke. It's you got a lot going on. You got a lot of time to manage and stuff. I mean, and I obviously pitch in, minor league, so I know how that goes. So, I don't get the whole business of giving up, the business. I don't get too hung up on it. It's just, it's just fun. I sometimes like the troll level. Sometimes, umps throw my way because, like, I don't do really elaborate write-ups just because it's like there's nothing to me more insulting than this really, really long, Odyssey-type epic only to ground out back to the pitcher. And I'm like, oh, well, if my swing would have been more, kind of poetic, I would have maybe think that it would have deserved a 45-page dissertation, but...
Doc, was it you that had the long write-up for the anniversary that was a 500 diff?
No, it was not me.
Okay,
no,
somebody else.
I've written a couple, like, small write-ups and stuff, nothing fancy, nothing.
Okay.
I know Milo for Toronto's written up some pretty good copy pasta stuff, it seems like, but no, I haven't done that. I mean, most recently, just something stupid that came to mind is, like, my write-up was like I was at a drive-through window in one game. I was like, can I just order a number 2? Because I ended up what I swung. And whoever the ump was, my favorite thing was just no. And then they go, you grounded out. I'm like, damn, all right.
So matter of fact on that. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm like, I don't necessarily even know all the rules. I think Tyburn's watching. I just make him do all the important stuff that requires baseball knowledge. So he didn't know that until now. But Tyburn, I don't know all the rules, man. So I'm glad you're my partner for the umpiring stuff. All right, guys.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if the pitcher pitches 327 and Tyburn is the ump, what happens?
He immediately leaves the group and he retires from baseball, and then I have to do all the resulting. So I'm going to ask as kindly as possible. No one do that because Tyburn doesn't deserve that, man. Tyburn, my first game, I got a rule. Oh, I remember that. I should let you back on the stream to talk about that sometime, Tyburn. Tyburn had a big boo-boo. I'll let you guys DM him about it, but it was pretty funny. I think it involved a miss ping. But that's his story to tell. Real quickly, hard segue. Very simply, I want everyone's favorite teammate, and I need it to be either a hot take or you need to not be afraid of offending everyone. Shirley, who's your favorite teammate on the Reds?
Right now it's Tristan, but it may be Jackson by the end of the season.
Oh, slow transition. Streetlamp, your favorite teammate on the 45s?
Gotta give it to Simba Martinez.
Ah, Simba with the shout out. Guido, favorite teammate on the Brewers?
It's got to be Skippy. Peanut
Why?
butter boy.
Why Skippy?
And he slaps the peanut butter on the bat, and it does magic, man. It does magic.
I love the peanut butter. Doc, you have a old school team with the Jays. Who's your favorite teammate?
I'll have to say Milo. He's probably been the most helpful and just insightful for just like MR context. The most, but a close second has to be coming up. Captain Harry Sealegs, just with his pine tar consumption and just the fact that this dude is just on a tear. So probably pretty close between the two of them.
Shout out to Milo for being on the stream and looking dapper last week too. Okay, another hard pivot then, and we'll start with Guido this time. Guido, what is the most important trait in a GM of your team or a GM that you play for?
Probably just the ability to listen, not try to over-talk everybody else.
Streetlamp, what is your favorite trait in a GM, or what would be a requirement for you to play for them?
He's got to be kind of chill. He or she has got to be kind of chill. I know I've heard of some GMs sort of just like running their team as if they own it, which I mean they kind of do, but they'll like provide swings for people to do. They'll make people listen to scouting instead of their gut 9 times out of 10 or even 10 times out of 10. So I enjoyed the way Harry does it, where the scouting is there. If you want to look at it, that's great, but if you've got a gut feeling, sometimes that even works better. And then I want a guy that doesn't allow autos, or for the most part is pretty good at avoiding autos, because those are just 3 outs you're giving away.
Yeah, I hate autos too. I don't think the Mets will ever auto again, if I had to take a wild guess at it based on Ben's attitude. Doc, how's the Birdman out there, and what's the ideal trait for a GM for you?
He's good. I think for me, I just like just honesty, transparency. He's receptive to feedback. He'll provide insight, but it's not too it's not too much like, oh, you have to do this, or hey, Doc, nice single, now go steal, or something like that. I mean, and he's pretty pretty open to feedback and stuff. So I always appreciate just the transparency and just kind of ebb and flow with that.
I like the honesty piece too. And Shirley, I think you've probably had more GMs than everybody here. What's the most important trait, or what have you found equals the most success anyways? And success can be wins or a culture in the clubhouse.
A GM that checks in with the players individually to see how they're doing every now and then.
More of a personal touch then?
Yes.
So the culture is that bigger than results for you, or you need a little bit of both? What's your feeling?
I mean, you know what my ideal GM looks like. I would say definitely the one that checks in and just give that personal touch, because when you're personal with your players like that, players usually respond and want to perform for the GM.
Yeah, I hear that. No, I definitely know what you mean too. Interesting. I want to throw that one in there because I know a lot of people were talking to me recently, even in the Mets clubhouse, about it. So interesting perspectives on that one. And I think we're going to segue into the very last portion. And I don't know if it's on your guys' screen. I have all the standings and the playoff stuff up. I suspect it's really small, but I don't know what the truth is that. But we're going to run across all the divisions real quick, kind of give a little bit of insight on it, and I'm just looking for general thoughts, division winners. We're almost through session 11 now, so we're heading down the stretch, so hopefully some playoff pictures are starting to come into picture for us, but I think we'll start AL East, and we'll run across, and Doc, since you're on the Jays, I know you guys 5-5 right now, and that division is all within 2 games of each other from the top. So who do you think comes out on that division, and do you think that they get more than one wild card team into the playoffs this year?
Yeah, so I think it probably, I'm going to give it like a slight tilt to the Yankees. I mean, they've been playing pretty well. Boston's been playing well too. But yeah, I mean, top to bottom, the division's been real close. I mean, I think we could make a push or surprise to get to maybe potentially, if things shake out, 3 wild cards. I know that'd be pretty
gnarly, pretty much
of a reach. But I mean, even just looking at just the wild card right now, everything's like a half game for at least 3-4 teams on the fringe, including us. But no, I'd probably give it to the Yankees. Probably as a slight edge over there.
Shirley, who's your East favorite, and do you think they can get up to 3 wild cards like Doc is saying?
So I also like the Yankees. They beat the Royals already, but they did have a sad loss to the Indians. I also think the ALS will have 3 wild card teams. I think the rest of the AL is kind of weak.
Ouch. NL best league. You heard it here first. Streetlamp, I know you're in the West, but how do you feel the East shakes out? And do you think they can also get to this 3 wild card? Like no other division can have a wild card team?
I think there's just too much cannibalism that just has to happen, given that half your games are within the division. I don't think 3 wild cards is going to happen. I definitely think that 2 is for sure a possibility, maybe even a probability. As for the winner, I'm a little biased because my brother is on the Yankees, but I'm also going to have to go with the Yankees because I feel like they had that little slip up a few weeks ago with the Orioles and the Indians, but they seem to be back on track, and I think that they've got the experience and they've got sort of the winning atmosphere to just eke it out in the end over the rest.
Maybe this should not be news to me, but Streetlamp, who's your brother?
It's Jay Orr, their pitcher right now.
Today I learned. Wow, interesting.
I don't know that either.
Yeah, that's that inside information. Chatter up where you can find where people are related to each other. Tune in. Guido, who's your? Everyone's been a Yankees winner here. Do you think the Yankees also take it down, and how many people can come out of the East?
I would say 2 out of the East. I think it'll be Red Sox, Yankees in that order. A lot of people are betting against Heroic Oasis here, and I'm not really sure why.
The man, the myth, the legend.
So
you think the Sox are going to take it down behind Hilek?
Yeah. That's my gut instinct. Their offense is a little bit better than the Yankees.
I love the Bo Sox miracles. # miracles for anybody in the chat. Okay, let's slide over. To the Central. Then the Central slowly looks like it's becoming a 2-man race. Detroit. Maybe not all the way out of there. Twins are a game behind the Royals, who are also losing. So a little bit different there. It might be a situation where only the division winner goes on. And let's work in reverse this time. Guido, who comes out of the Central, and can they eke out a wild card out of the Central?
Yeah, so if I'm saying Red Sox, Yankees out of the East, I'm basically saying Royals, Twins out of the Central. Which is pretty much exactly what I think will happen.
So Royals 1, Twins 2, is that right?
You know, if this was last session, I'd probably say Twins over Royals. But I just don't think they have enough time. Maybe they do. Maybe the Royals lose this week and they're only a game out.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Twins bats have been super hot lately, though.
10 runs in the last game. Pretty impressive. Streetlamp, who wins the division, and can they eke out a wild card?
I do think that the Royals are going to hold on in this division. Something about, I don't know, I don't think Zan's retirement really had anything to do with it. It feels like that should have hurt their team, but it doesn't seem to have really done anything but give them motivation to keep going up. I don't really think anyone's stopping them. As for a wild card, I give the other 3 teams, other than the Royals and the Twins, I give them no shot. The Tigers, I feel like, might be the most overrated team in MLR, and I know we're playing them right now, so that might come back to burn me. But I feel like they did have a good start, I'll admit that, but not a big fan. They might, and hot take, they might go on to finish last. Of course, that pivots on the White Sox having to actually score a few runs, but the Tigers might finish last. As for the Twins' wildcard chances, I'd say I'd probably pick Boston over Minnesota for the 3rd wild card, but I could definitely see the Twins eking it out and getting into the playoffs.
You heard it here first. Tigers, the last place from Streetlamp. I can't remember if it was Doc or Shirley, so we'll just go to Shirley. Who's your division winner, Shirley, and why?
I'd have to go with the Royals here, and just take a look at their season here. They started out 2-3, and they've now won 4 straight.
Hot.
one of the biggest turnarounds, honestly, I've seen this season, because I know both them and the Dodgers kind of started out really slow. And as far as the rest of the division, the Twins are really the only potential playoff team, but I don't really see them. They're way too inconsistent to really make it. I think they may even get eliminated on the last game versus the White Sox.
Ooh, they are very one-off, one-on all season. There have been a few teams like that, Angels included. Doc, do you differ from everyone? We have Royals all across the board so far. Who takes it down in the Central?
Yeah, I was initially going to just, as I was looking through this team schedules while everybody was talking, I was going to initially say maybe the Twins. I mean, I know the Royals, and not to take anything away from them, have been on quite a tear. I just think that the Royals schedule really favors them, these last about 6 or 7 games, and I just think the way they've been playing, I mean, I think the Twins definitely, could still play some good baseball or Reddit ball and do well, but I think just the Royals in the position they're in really have the best shot just to walk away with it.
Yeah, someone tells me that the Zan scouting infrastructure is probably still in place, and maybe over time it becomes not as of quality, but I think it's going to remain quality throughout the year. So I feel the same with you guys. I think the Royals probably hold it off, and we move over to the West, which is one of the rare divisions, maybe like the NL Central, where it feels like there's a team finally running out ahead of everyone, and we'll let one of the members of that team speak first with Streetlamp. But Streetlamp, as unbiasedly as you can help, can anyone catch Houston? And if not, can either Oakland or LA or even Texas sneak into a wild card spot from this division?
Okay, let's do this team by team. Well, clearly Houston's 8-1, and the rest of the teams, I feel like, let's take a look. Angels and A's are 5-4. Rangers are 4-5. Mariners are 2-7. The Mariners, after Cal left, they're just doing a in-season rebuild. It almost feels like some of their better players, DCM and others, they're just uncharacteristically slumping. And I feel like they could be. They'll get better as the season goes on. I feel like that's inevitable, but they're just too far in the hole to really. I don't even think they really have a shot at a wild card at this point. And the Angels are interesting because it seems like they've only lost to good teams, so they definitely could go on a run and be a force. However, to beat us for the division, we won both our games over them, so they'd have to beat us by an entire game rather than rely on tiebreakers. I don't think that's possible at this point. We're just too far ahead. So I'm going to write them off 2. They might get a wild card. Then the A's, they're a little bit in the same boat as the Angels. I feel like they have a better chance at knocking us off for the division, though I still don't quite see it happening. I'd say if I were to pick right now, they'd probably be the AL's second wild card. And then there's the Rangers. And the Rangers, using this term in a completely different way, the Rangers are sort of just the wild card of the league overall, just with the fact that they don't scout, they're not active, they're just different from everyone else, which makes them really, really spooky sometimes.
Right.
Because they've won 3 of 4. I think they're leading the Angels. I don't have the scoreboard up right now. That would make it 4 or 5. Plus, they haven't played us yet. We play them weeks 12 and 16. If they can knock us off both those times and stay hot, they, I feel, are the only ones that could possibly beat us for the division.
I like the last 2 games and at the end of the session like that. And Shirley, do you think anyone catches Houston? And if not, can any of the Angels, A's, or Rangers pull off a wild card spot from this division?
So to kind of look at Houston's schedule here, the only team that's above 500 that Houston Houston played was Colorado, and they lost.
Oh.
So the Red Sox are the only other team that's over 500, and the rest of the schedule is really cake. So I don't really see anyone catching up to Houston here. The Angels are not as good as their record says. Seattle, it looks like They just circled Boston and made that their paper cut for the season, and then just gave up. The Athletics are way too inconsistent. The Rangers. Does anyone know what the Rangers are doing?
Not me.
So yeah, I think Houston runs away the division thanks to a very easy schedule.
Dang, Doc, is it Houston's division to lose?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think the remaining games. I mean, obviously, fake Houston watches movies with subtitles on, but that aside, the remaining games they have, it's a pretty easy, I think remaining schedule. I mean, we most recently played Oakland, and with some of the changes they made, I mean, I think Oakland is a team to watch out at least for a wild card spot. It's not to say that maybe Texas doesn't surprise us. I mean, obviously, we talked on Seattle, and maybe the Angels kind of make a play, but I think it's definitely Houston's division to lose, and seeing with the number of games they have left and them coughing up the lead, I don't think it's likely. But I mean they could be 12-4, and that wouldn't surprise me. Maybe they lose a game or two here and there, but I don't think that they're going to end up just having this epic meltdown to really relinquish the spot they're in.
I'm going to come to their defense and say that I used to not watch subtitles on anything until about 3 or 4 years ago, and now I cannot not watch any movie or TV show without subtitles. So solidarity there for my H-Town friends. Guido, Houston all across the board, everyone's been uniform. Are you following in line here? Is it their division to lose? Can the West produce a wild card team?
I think it's Houston's division to lose. If they lose this division, Streetlamp probably get injured. Half the team decided guessing numbers wasn't worth it anymore. Everyone guessed 69 all the time. For the rest of the division, Kansas is off. Texas is Texas. Oakland's kind of like the anime team of Friends that just comes out of nowhere and decides that they're like this sneaky underrated team that makes the big trade halfway through the season.
Okay.
I could see them making a push. The Angels are the team that made the other side of that huge trade, and I think I don't know. We'll have to see.
Interdivision trade.
Trading away a pitcher is kind of weird.
It was very interesting, in my opinion. I also think it's Houston's to lose, too. And just for parity's sake, let's move to a division that is not so decisive looking, and we'll just go to the NL East, home of the Mets. So I'll reserve my opinions, but Montreal at 6-3, and I think they're winning. Mets are also 6-3, and we are losing. Miami is just a game behind. If Atlanta holds on against the Mets, they're just a game behind, and Philadelphia is also a run behind and a game behind as well. The East last year, for those who weren't in the MLR, was also, I think, the top 4 teams separated by with 2 games. I mean, someone fact-check me on that. I think there was 2 8-8 teams and a 7-8 team at least. Let's go in reverse order this time. Guido, who makes their way out of the East, and can the East have any wild card teams as well?
So I think Atlanta is actually the best team in the East.
Oh.
Their record doesn't show it, and I don't think they win the East, but everything I'm looking at points to them being the best team. They just got super unlucky.
Okay.
I know we beat them, and that was really weird.
I hear that. Atlanta's scary.
Yeah. They use a completely different pitching theory than any other team. Their offense does work. They just got unlucky. Other than that, I really don't know. I don't think the Marlins are as good as the record says. The Mets always have a streak in them. Hashtag Miracle Mets. But I don't know. Expos, I don't know how they're 6-3, to be honest with you. Their offense looks decent. They have really good pitching when they use them. So I could see it being the Expos. If we use like a 24-session season, I'd probably say Braves, but because it's only going 14, I guess I say Expos.
That's interesting. Doc, any counter thoughts or thoughts to that from your division across the league?
Yeah, NL East here. Yeah. I mean, I definitely might go Expos. I was kind of, looking at the Braves schedule and kind of with Guido. I mean, just some of the games they've lost, definitely were no joke. I mean, you lose to Houston 4-6, Pittsburgh 5-6, Arizona 2-4. It wasn't like they're getting the doors blown off when they're getting, losing some of these games. And so you're sitting 4-5 and you're not really, your record is definitely not indicative of some of the strength of schedule stuff. But just seeing, it's kind of like one of those things, you got, 16 games to play and you're sitting 2 back, gonna have to look at probably Montreal or maybe the Miracle Mets potentially. Those are probably one of my 2 picks.
Shirley, I'm hyper interested in your response. Who takes down the East in your opinion?
So here's a fun fact about the Braves. They are currently 4-0 against their divisional opponents and are currently up 2-0 against, I mean, I know it's against you guys, but
2-1.
5-0.
2-1.
Is it 2-1 now?
We have one run.
Okay.
It's close.
So
go ahead though.
So the Braves are still undefeated in the division, and just looking at if they beat the Rockies, Jays, or Cardinals, I think they take it.
Yeah, it's a tough stretch. I don't disagree that the Braves are better than the record for sure. Streetlamp, you have one last choice to make the right choice for the division winner here. Who do you got?
Sort of piggybacking on what Doc said, if you look at the Braves schedule, they're 4-0 against their division mates, and then they're 0-5 against out of division. If you look at the Expos schedule, the Expos are 0-3. Wait, never mind. They're 1-3 in the division, and then they've won all their games outside of the division. So I just think that's interesting. As for the winner, I don't quite trust the Expos, especially since I think as just the way I am, I'm sort of just against chaos in general, and they seem like they've brought more than their fair share of it, so I might be a bit biased because of that, but I'm not high on the Expos. As for the Braves, usually when we play a team and we beat them narrowly, because that's what we do, I tend to look up more on that team. For whatever reason, I didn't feel that way about the Braves. Despite the fact that their stats are really, really nice looking, I'm not going to argue that. They have some really good bats. I'm just not feeling the Braves for whatever reason either. So, for who's going to win overall, I'd say it's between the Mets and the Marlins, and I think the Marlins have kind of hit a speed bump these last few weeks, so I'm going to give it to the Mets. And then I'd probably say that the Marlins would get in with a wild card anyway, but I think the division's going to be won by the Mets this year.
All right. Streetlamp is officially a friend of the show. You can come on anytime you want, my friend. You just drop me a DM, okay?
Hey, I'm not the Mets in the wild card.
Division a little better than the wild. Okay, you can come on too. We'll be inclusive here. And we'll move over to the Central, and we'll probably speed run the Central here because I think everyone is going to say Pittsburgh is going to take this down, especially if the Reds lose, and they're losing right now. That'll put them 5 games behind. So just very quickly, does anyone think a second-place team can get into the wild card here? Probably you're looking at the Reds or Cardinals, maybe a Cubs run. And we'll start. Let's start with Shirley.
Yeah, so Reds definitely will be making the playoffs. They have the Indians, the Dodgers, and the Giants still left on their schedule.
What do you you can give me a biased answer, Shirley. What do you think the Reds can end up with overall record?
Let's see, we'll potentially be 5-5 after St. Louis with 6 games. I like 9 wins.
9-7. I can feel that. I think that definitely gets a wild card for sure. Doc, can a second place or a third place NL Central team make the playoffs?
Yeah, I was actually gonna go with the Reds for a wild card spot for sure. I just think that they got enough of a schedule, kind of a benefit that they can definitely get 9 wins there. And just looking at some of the other teams in the wild card hunt, I think that they could pretty safely say with 9 wins that they're probably making it at least the second spot.
I can feel that too. Streetlamp, do you think that the NL Central can produce a wild card team?
I definitely do. I'd almost want to say that they might get 2.
Ooh.
Because I'm not hugely high on the Reds at this point, but just looking at their remaining schedule, as we said, man's that thing weak, and I even see 10 wins out of this.
Wow.
So I don't really see a way the Reds don't make the playoffs with that schedule. The NL is just going to be a bloodbath the last couple of weeks. The team I'm really looking at is the Cardinals. I know they started off really poorly, and everybody just almost unanimous 30 ranking in the power rankings. Everyone's just giving them all sorts of crap. They seem to almost thrive off that, and I feel like even though their batting stats especially they're not nice looking. They have a bunch of people below them in those lines, but their pitching has been good, and they seem to thrive off the fact that nobody thinks that they're a threat. So I'd say that they sneak into the playoffs.
And Guido, do you agree or disagree there? Reds getting 10 wins, Cardinals sneaking in. What are your feelings on the Central?
I know our team feelings are that the Cardinals aren't going anywhere. So I'd have to disagree with that.
Okay.
The Cubs, maybe. Brewers, probably not. But you never know. I think the Pirates probably end 13-3, maybe 14-2.
Okay.
There's a way to scout them that people aren't using.
Oh,
That's
inside
kind of
info.
interesting. I don't know. I know our team goal is to just finish 8-8. I don't think that's as likely as it was at the beginning of the season. But looking at our schedule and looking at kind of how we're doing the last couple of games and how we can be doing moving forward, I would like to finish 8-8, but we'll see.
Hey, it's not impossible. I was going to say, and Tyburn's pointing it out too, the Mets were 2-8 last year, and we finished up 8-8 and made the NLCS. So anything's possible, especially if you're only 3-6 right now. But Pittsburgh does seem like they're running away with it, and I'll might DM you later about the inside scouting information there. And we'll finish up with the NL West. This is looking like a 3-team race, even though the Dodgers and Giants are both winning their games right now. Rockies, Arizona, Padres, all a game apart right now. I'm pretty high personally on the Rockies for a lot of different reasons. I'll be curious to hear what you guys have to say. But Doc, who can win the West here, in your opinion?
I was initially going to just say the Rockies, just based on, without watching their games too closely, schedule alone, and kind of some of the results they had. But actually, I'm going to probably switch that up to Arizona. I just think that, Rockies have a favorable schedule. I don't think that there'd be some disagreement there. Obviously they have Pittsburgh and they're losing to Milwaukee right now, but I think Arizona actually has a shot of maybe making a sneak play there and winning the NL West. But I'll definitely probably stick with them, although it's going to probably come down to the wire between the two of them.
Hey Doc, can you repeat that? Who are they losing to?
They are losing the Milwaukee Brewers.
Not to Milwaukee, really, huh? Fascinating.
Yeah.
All right,
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
It's if you haven't heard, it's Algonquin for the good land.
Oh.
Well, let's let the representative from the good land comment, since he's beating the Diamondbacks. Guido, who comes out of the West in your opinion?
We're beating the Rockies.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Rockies. My apologies.
But that does lead to my point. I actually think the Diamondbacks can win the West.
Two Diamondback picks. Why so?
I'll follow it up. So I'm going to definitely have a little bit of bias being it ump for certain teams. I've umped the Diamondbacks at least once, maybe twice, I don't remember. Their clubhouse dynamic is amazing. And I think there's a lot to be said going down the stretch when you're in higher pressure situations. I think having a good clubhouse probably means more than what your record or what team you're facing against means.
Okay.
I know the loss of Rusty is going to hit them hard, but they've also kind of been planning on this for a couple of sessions now.
Right.
So I look to them to kind of just turn it up a notch and rely on that team dynamic they have.
So we got 2 Diamondback picks. Streetlamp, are you of like mind there, or do you think someone else takes down the West?
Then I'm biased here because they beat us, but I do think that the Rockies, and I could be wrong, but I do think that the Rockies have what it takes to take down the West. They have the rotation. Their rotation is really, really good because they've got Hank, who's currently losing right now, but they've also got Garrett Evans and they've got Dangerzone, and they're all really, really good. That team scares me. That team might scare me more than the Pirates, and that's saying something. And then there's the Padres and the Diamondbacks, and I want to know how the Diamondbacks will respond to Rusty retiring, even if they knew beforehand that it was coming.
Right.
I don't know exactly how they're going to respond to that. They could implode. They could bond over it. I feel like early take, the Padres and the Diamondbacks are both going to finish 9-7. There's going to be another team in another division that also finishes 9-7, and we're going to get into some interesting tiebreakers later on.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be close in the NL no matter what. So we got 2 Diamondbacks and we got a Rockies. Shirley, what are your stands on this is?
So I think if the Rockies, I know they're losing right now, but if they win out for the season, they could potentially steal the number 1 seed from the Pirates.
I like that take.
They do have that Week 14 matchup as well. Just taking a look at the rest of the West as well as the rest of the National League. A fun fact about the Rockies, Mets, Diamondbacks, Reds, and Padres: they're all vying for that, wild card or playoff spot, but they also all have the Dodgers and the Giants left on their schedule.
Oh, that's a good fact.
I think their performance against those 2 teams will be the make or break for their playoff hopes.
And dictate it all.
The Diamondbacks, I think Rusty's absence is really going to start hitting him here. They do have a couple of huge games against the Rockies and at the Padres still. That I don't see them winning.
Yeah.
The Padres, I want to see them be a playoff caliber team first before I like them taking a wild card spot. But the Giants and the Dodgers, unfortunately, are just not having great seasons.
Puttering along, it seems like. Interesting take. I mean, I like the Rockies for a lot of different reasons. I know they're losing right now. Shout out to Guido and the pod, but I think they can take it down. I hope the D-backs don't crumble too much from Rusty's departure, and I think the Dad Gang has a lot of good energy, so I think it's one of the more compelling divisions, or at least having the most people that are involved outside of the East teams, because the NL East and the AL East feel almost the same to me in that regard, but that coverage is it all, and I think we lost. Who we lose? Streetlamp. He's out of here. So I'll probably give us all a clean outro then. I don't know if he'll make his way back or not, but hold on. Maybe he said something.
Can I make one quick point?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
If the Pirates, the Reds, and the Rockies all make the playoffs, can we all agree that the league is rigged?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I think so. What do you guys think? No.
How is it rigged?
You have all your OTC members making the playoffs.
Yep. Office
I'll
of
go
the
with that.
Commissioner. Yep. Supreme Leader.
The
Selk.
conspiracy.
Hidden dingers. Yeah.
For me, man.
I'll go with that.
See, that's why I don't think.
I actually wanted to make one comment too on a more serious note. I think kind of a continuation from the NL West discussion. I think Session 11 is going to be really interesting, only because I want to see what's going to happen between San Diego and Colorado. Right? I mean, if Colorado loses to the Brewers, I mean, obviously, kind of puts a dent in kind of some of the push they've been making. Breaks a 4-game win streak, and San Diego just got less than a stellar showing against the Cubs, so I'd be really curious to see how those two teams respond to that. I think that'll be really telling as to who really, I think, makes that push for the last part of the season.
Yeah, I hope the Padres come back motivated because the Cubs really put it on it. I umped that game, and it was out of reach in the first inning, in my opinion. But yeah, Streetlamp he had to bounce out, so I apologize, Streetlamp. I couldn't give you the nice outro, but I'm going to do so for everyone else here. Guys, I really appreciate you coming on. I think this discussion was definitely one of the more detailed, specific, especially lengthy as well, hitting all the good points. I think there was a lot of good conversation about the MLR and even a few personal things in there. So I really appreciate everyone coming on. Anybody have any last second special shout outs before I get rid of everyone?
Go ahead.
Guido for MILR MVP.
Self shout out. Anybody have a shout out for someone that's not themselves?
I am full on the Ryan Gastings pitcher of the year hype train still. I know we had a rough outing against the A's. The Athletics really had him, but I mean, still, all things considered, I mean, he's got 27 innings and a 1.32 ERA. So I'm still on that hype train.
Yeah, keep hyping that up. I didn't know it was quite that crazy. Who's left? Shirley, you have any non-self-promoting shout-outs, or are you good?
I'll go ahead and shout out Rip to Guido's inbox for all the Central teams trying to get in there to how to beat the Pirates.
At NL Central, hit his inbox, go. Okay, I'm going to outro us, guys. I'm going to throw up a standby. We'll get out of here nice. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for being on the show, episode 3. And we'll definitely have you guys on throughout the year to finish out the year too. So for anyone still listening, hang on just a second. I'll be right back. All right, guys, that was our panel. That was a great panel discussion, in my opinion. Very in depth, very analytical. That was the word I was looking for just a second ago. If you guys are still in the chat for whatever reason, so that was Blue Jays Doc Crudelly. I think I said that right, Crudelly. I maybe still need to be taught that. Shirley Sir, Brewers Guido Ligiorno, which I also think I hopefully did better, and the Colt 45 Streetlamp LeMoose. Thank you guys a ton for being on episode 3 panel. We got through a ton of division stuff, talked MLR expansion, GMs, teammates, all that good stuff. So Crudelly, Doc Crudelly, Shirley Sir, you guys are correcting me. I love it. I don't have much else, guys. I'm going to outro myself here as well. It's been one of the longer streams, which I think is good. We were missing a segment today, and we still went longer than I think the first 2 episodes. So I think things are becoming much more articulate, especially through the interviews and through the panels, and listening to me drone on about my records of making picks. So before we leave, I want to thank the sponsors one more time. The Nipsey Slips Patsies, to stop your Nipsies from a Slipsies, vinaigrette dressing, the salad for athletes, and Hinam Moniz. I know I'm saying that wrong. I got taught how to say it. Matt, don't kill me. Hemi Names name tags. Great brand. Go out and buy those if you need any of your conference or team meeting needs. Couldn't run the show without the sponsors. And again, if you want to be a sponsor, please send your messages to Wally, or hit up the MLR Media box as well. I don't have much else, guys. We'll catch up on the picks next week. We'll go over session 11 results, see if we can't get another interview and more panel guys in for a discussion, and we'll go from there. So if you're still here, thanks for watching. Appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. And this will be Wally Gromit and signing out of Chatter Up episode 3. Have a good night, guys.